Hello, and welcome to another video. I want to add this to the solo ranked series. However, this is a regular Warzone, or I guess a regular arena. It's been a while since I played Lethality, but a lot of people have requested Lethality, and I figured that this would be a good video to do so. Also, this was pulled off live stream. I sadly didn't have instant replay on, so yeah, you get to look at me in slow-mo. Immediately going into the game here, you see that they have a healer and we do not. That's completely fine though. It's very winnable. So the main thing here is that I want to stealth the PT, but I don't want to make it too obvious. I don't mind getting the Juggernaut too, but I'm mostly worried about the PT because we need that damage. We need that damage really bad. So what I'm going to do is, stealth them by the box here, not immediately, and I'm going to let them know, like, oh, he just group stealthed that person. He's just going to be, seen at the box, and all of a sudden you're not going to see him at the box anymore. So on their screen, they're not really going to know where he went. And that's great because we need to keep the PT alive for the most of the time because he's our main damage here besides me. And I'm probably going to be playing more of a healer role. Unfortunately, the Power Tech does get nicked by the suppressive fire, but it does allow him to go back into stealth. But at this point, it's best that I open and draw the focus towards me instead of him. I also make the decision not to sap because we're probably going to hit the healer, and healer is the best person for me to sap at this moment. I would love to go sap the sorcerer, but the problem is that he is too far back. In a situation where I would not be playing supportish, I would totally go for the sorcerer sap and then come burst with the PT. But since I'm playing lethality and I can heal, I'm going to go the safer route of, actually supporting my team. So immediately going into the opening here, a lot of stuff happens. Watching my Juggernaut, I know the Slayer is going to hit him because he's a clear view. I open up with Stim Boost for 20% DR and passive heals so I can face tank this. Also using Corrosive Grenade instead of Dart because I want to try to reveal the operative if he's around here. And I also want to draw aggro, so I need to have my Stim Boost up to tank it. So I get pretty lucky here, and this person is taking the knockback on penetrating rounds, and he is within range to activate that knockback, so I'm able to get a free white bar because I was stunned when he knocked me back with that. And I see that I have Affliction and Volatile on me, so I pop Evasion, which I also have Evasion Reflect, which means that I can avoid, getting auto-critted by Thundering Blast, but also reflect the damage back to them by 150%, which is absolutely great. But in this situation, I do want to get closer to the healer so I can get them to stack up. And the reason I want to do that is because pressure is key here. Since they have a healer, we need to do as much damage as possible, which is also very key as to why I use evasion there, so I can reflect damage that's coming at me, creating extra pressure because I am playing a spec that does a lot of pressure, and we need to out-pressure the healer. And what does big damage here, where I have to start cutting around the box to, get my health back, is the roll ambush. This is auto crit plus 20% extra damage, I believe, after they roll. This always does massive damage, even through stim boosts, so always be very careful about this. So as you saw me pop Creative Agent earlier, that gives you 10% heal over the duration. You don't actually have to use your probes. I usually sit on my probes to give it to somebody else instead of me. But in this situation, I need to use it on myself. So I roll away, use Cult of Infusion, Medpack in the journal, and then put the probes on myself, which makes me very healthy and also pretty tanky. And the Concealment Operative is going to follow me with his second Volatile. And in this situation, I want to flashbang him, but he might break this. So I want to still be tanky and, ready for whatever else is about to come. So I end up catching both of them with a flashbang. The sniper breaks to follow, but I'm pretty much recovered, and I'm just going to continue to recover. I see the mercenary, it's pretty low, and the sorcerer pretty much has to barrier because the PT has pretty much gotten to free cast on him, so that's great. We got breaker, we got barrier, and we get reflect out of the mercenary, which is also really great. In this situation, I want to start healing my allies to try to recover a little bit. My priority is definitely the PT and not the Juggernaut, because I doubt that the Juggernaut is doing too much. We get the kill on the sorcerer there, which is absolutely great. The sniper doesn't have breaker, and the healer is pretty much screwed from this point on because he has pretty much only energy shield, but that's totally fine. My situation here is to just try the off heal. So another nice thing about Creative Agent is that your infusion becomes more of like a hot. It does lower healing initially, but it also applies a hot. And once I get both probes on him and the infusion hot, he can passively heal probably about 60% or more. And I see that my operative on my team is absolutely screwed, so I try to support him a little bit, but he somehow fumbled through all of his defenses. So sadly, the operative dies here. If he kited a little bit more or tried to break last sight, he probably could have survived a little bit longer, but unfortunately he gets caught out. They're all stacked, however, so I throw a fire grenade to add to our DPS, but also, keep pressure because I'll probably be using the next couple of GCDs on trying to heal. Another thing to keep in mind is that since I'm taking Creative Agent, it turns Cult of Infusion to a heal over time, and lethality gets a bonus to heal over time for 6 seconds after you use Lethal Strike. So I'm going to prioritize, trying to heal, and I can get more out of my heals because of that. So you'll also see that I use Cleanse to get out of the Sniper Knockback route, but there's also other ways to do that. You can do that with countermeasures, Root Break, or Evasion. Thankfully, the Power Tech knows how important it is to kill the healer, and the healer doesn't really have any defenses left, so it makes it a very easy kill. Continuing on, I immediately roll to get Cult of Infusion for my PT and re-up his probes. I end up getting CC'd by the operative. I was hoping that I would get flashbanged by either one of them, but it didn't happen. And I have to immediately break to hard stun the operative because my PT desperately needs help. And because of the operative being really impatient, I had a feeling that he was going to be impatient. I end up getting a free flashbang on him after he uses his breaker. I had thought the sniper would have done more, but again, we got his breaker earlier, so he's not really able to do much. And he also used his phase walk earlier, so he's kind of screwed. And I used Creative Agent because I thought it would take us longer to kill him, but it didn't. I figured that, his probes would fall off and I would immediately reapply them with Creative Agent. However, that was not the case. After killing the sniper, I continue healing the power tech, and oddly enough, the operative decides to stealth out. This is a terrible decision because he has white bar. There's not anything that I can do to really stop him from getting to the power tech and opening up. Also, the PT is able to regen a little bit, which is definitely favorable for him. So unfortunately, my power tech is pretty much out of defensives. His shield runs out, and there is a concealment operative, a white bar on him. There's not much else I can do other than try to heal him in this situation and hope that he gets med back off cooldown because the operative did combat reset us. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. It leaves it down to 1v1. So going into this situation of 1v1 against a concealment operative, this is definitely not favorable for me. However, I did get his breaker and his stealth out, which is definitely really good. But I also don't have a breaker myself. In this situation, I need to try to apply as much pressure as I can and make him play defensively. Because if I can do that, I pretty much win this duel, and there's virtually no hope for him. And that's kind of what happens, and it's really, really good for me. And he also tries to use his infusion right in front of me, where I can just kick it, which makes it really, really easy for me to confirm this duel. Even if he was to flashbang and hard stun and do a combo on me, I would probably live because Azor does 15% DR after it collapses for 6 seconds, which is really good. And I also had a stim boost and a med pack, which is definitely helpful, but I would not be able to break. So if I ever got low enough, I would, be in danger, but I would have med packed probably before I actually got into that execute range. I also make the assumption that he's not going to off-heal himself too well, if at all, because he was not off-healing his team throughout the match. He was a little reserved with his CC breaker until he really wanted to chase that kill, and that definitely screwed it over for him. But I feel like even if he didn't use his breaker there, it wouldn't have helped him any because he ended up using his stealth out for virtually no reason. And if he kept his stealth out, he definitely would have been able to 1v1 me a lot better. And it probably would have been, I guess, probably more interesting to watch. I, by no means, am much of a duelist. I don't really care for it. I like the chaos of 4v4, 8v8. I don't really care about 1v1. And this game is fundamentally just not balanced around 1v1, but operative versus operative is probably the most balanced of duels that you can probably get. So going into the next round, I assume that they're going to do the same thing because they didn't fully commit to it, and they're probably going to double down and try it even harder than what they did before. Thankfully, my power tech doesn't come too close to me, so I don't feel the obligation to stealth him. And I use this opportunity to just straight up open and face tank most of the damage that's happening. The operative does open on me, and in this situation I pop evasion, I roll against the wall so I can get my Cult of Infusion, but I also don't want to use any other defensive in this situation outside of stim boost, so he can take some reflect damage. Once my evasion is over, I then decide to flashbang him because there's no real reason for me to be hitting him, and I go to try to hit the slinger, and the operative breaks to continue, damaging me and whatnot, so I continue to kite around the box and heal myself. He's not really getting anywhere in this situation, but he is not hitting any of my allies, so that's definitely super good. If I caught this with instant replay, you guys would be able to see my chat in this situation. The sniper does hololocate, and he does die to my dots while he's over there. So sadly, you guys aren't able to see that kill message, but that is what happens. That's why the sniper dies off screen. The operative also kind of like sort of gives up on chasing me and goes to get pretty much caught by the PT. Nearly dies in that situation. I'm hitting the mercenary and I commit to the mercenary because he is the healer and I want to get him low. And by the time I would have committed to the operative, it wouldn't have been enough to kill him, I don't think. Normally, if this team did not have a healer, we would 100% commit to the operative in this situation because he broke and he also just used double roll in front of everybody. That would pretty much seal his fate if he didn't have a healer, but since he has a healer and had bed pack, he pretty much fully recovered in that situation. We apply more damage to the healer, and I roll away to get heals on the PT and apply my probes to him. The mercenary does pop energy shield in this situation. We don't want to try to DPS through it because he's a healer, and we switch to the operative, and at this point he does not have white bar yet, so it makes him a perfect target for us to actually kill. We end up getting stealth out of him, and he also gets revealed. My power tech also decided that with Hydrox it's a great idea to run away, and it most definitely was in the situation. Like, I would love to heal him, but I need to kill, and since I caught the operative, I'm going to chase him down and finish him off. This then leads us into a situation of 2v3. Our PT is healing, and our Jaina is pretty healthy for the most part, so I just sit there and heal him, and we do damage. I do want to flashbang the sorcerer, but it doesn't really matter in this situation. We pretty much won. PT is getting a regen, and we pretty much clear it up from here. The only thing that would really make this match different is if our operative was more solid and their operative actually supported a little bit, it would definitely be a lot better. But overall, that's just not what happened. So it definitely made it a little bit more fun, at least for me. It's definitely been a hot minute since I've gotten to play lethality, and you can see how much HPS I do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's not actual ranked, but it was played, a little bit above tier for regs, I would say, in my opinion. However, there are definitely going to be changes in this match. Like, if my operative was just a little bit better than what he was, we'd probably just absolutely sweep them. But also at the same time, like, their team wasn't completely solid either, which is totally fine. But it's still a fun match, and there's a lot of stuff that I was able to explain here. There's something more that I can explain in like a more complicated match, like some of the matches I do have on operative against, MOA, Etudes, just like a whole bunch of other top 3 players and, really good, consistent players. There's a lot of stuff that happens in those games where split-second decisions are required, and to explain that entire thing would be like maybe a paragraph or 2 of explanation. And that's really easy. It just, takes time, and I'm more than happy to give you guys that info. So if you guys enjoyed, please let me know.